What's good, y'all, man? Here to give y'all my thoughts on the official announcement of some games for Georgia Tech, and obviously the big one, the clean, old-fashioned hate, Georgia Tech versus Georgia, being scheduled on Black Friday of all days. Here's why I don't like it. All right, y'all. So one of the reasons why I don't like it is because look where it falls. State football playoffs for the GHSA. This is a big weekend for high school football. It's the semifinals, y'all. Obviously the other games are played during the weekday, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I don't love that because you got to think about this. A lot of the powerhouse teams here in Georgia are going to be playing on this day, right? The Carrolltons, the Douglas Counties of the world, potentially, the Miltons of the world, Benedictine, Perry. You're going to have so many high-end teams playing potentially on this day that really love Georgia or really love Georgia Tech. You know what I'm saying? So I think it is a disadvantage, obviously, to high school football because now those same fans, them parents, you're peeling eyes away. Maybe from a national perspective, maybe not so much, but the state eyes, you're kind of peeling that away because they're going to go see their kid play. So I do think it is a little bit of a disadvantage. The only benefit is if GHSA, as they have right here, tentative, they could potentially change it, maybe move it up, maybe move it to Thursday or Saturday. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it is tentative. So it'll be interesting to see what's kind of the reaction for GHSA, what they decide to do. Another thing is usually during this game, this is a big recruiting weekend. Now for Georgia, it's a little bit different because they're probably going to have a lot of their main guys, main target guys, main priority guys already locked up. But if this was at Bobby Dodd on the flats, this is another big recruiting weekend, for players, whether that's 25s, 26s, 27s. Georgia, probably the same thing. This is such a big, obviously Georgia's been handling business the last few years in this rivalry, but this is still a big weekend for both teams as far as recruiting. Whether you say or not the 25 class is done with or whatever and solidified, still big for 2026s. And this is a good test and good opportunity for, Georgia staff members, Tech staff members, usually with this game to start building those relationships for the next recruiting cycle. So that's another thing I wanted to mention as well and why I think I'm just not a big fan. All right, now obviously you guys know that Georgia Tech just recently announced, obviously, some of your games that they're going to have in the times. So obviously, you're going to have Georgia State. I think that's an awesome game, being on ACC Network at 8 p.m. right here on the flats, going up against, pretty much two teams that are like, 5-10 minutes from each other, depending on what way of traffic you go to. So I think that's going to be an awesome game. Then they got Syracuse at noon. September 7th, that'll be another good one. They play VMI at 3:30 on Saturday, September 14th. And then NC State game. Can't wait for that one, man. That one's going to be really exciting at 7:30 p.m., November 21st. Really going to be an exciting game. And then obviously the Black Friday game at 7:30 on ABC. I do like that as prime time. I will say that. But like I said, I just don't like it being on that Friday with such a big weekend here in the state of Georgia. Most people are not going to get that unless you live in Georgia. Probably like the other, main national outlets are not going to understand that. But it's just such a big weekend for Georgia high school sports, during that time, man. But nonetheless, that's my opinion. It's a very exciting time, obviously, for the Georgia Tech program. Y'all comment below y'all thoughts. Obviously, it's one of the few times these teams have met in their series, I think since the 1990s, just having a regular season game scheduled on a weekday, during the season at this time. And interesting enough, Georgia Tech also, this is the first time for them, I think in November, right? They're going to have most of their games are going to be played on the week. They only have one Saturday game in that November window. Also interesting to note as well.